Sorry, just a reminder.
You're good. No, we are now recording. So feel free, any of you who know that leaders should have been on there and they weren't, you can rib them about it and then give them the video link that we'll post on the Facebook page later. Okay, let's get to it. Slide number 2. It's important that we remember that we're Trail Life USA, and while we are a Christian-based organization, we're also a very patriotic organization. So just because we're doing this virtually doesn't mean we can't have some sort of patriotic opening. So I'm going to read excerpts from a poem called Our Flag by William Prideaux. It flies high up in the skies for all the world to see, a beautiful symbol of this land of freedom and liberty. It's flown for over 200 years above this wondrous land, and many a soldier gave his life to ensure it continues to stand. When former POWs were asked what helped to get them through, many showed tattered pieces of cloth of the colors red, white, and blue. So let us not forget the men who forged this land we love and the symbol they created to fly the skies above. Remember to honor this beautiful flag every time it passes you by. Stand and show the proper respect, and long may it continue to fly. May I have a volunteer to lead us in a word of prayer, please, to dedicate our time to the Lord? Anybody?
I'll do it.
Thank you.
John. Gentlemen honors God. Gentlemen, please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the chance to be here tonight, for the chance to work with these young men, to guide them, to mentor them, and to help them to grow up to be good husbands, good fathers, good citizens, and good Christian adults, prepared to walk worthy in the way that Paul wanted to bring the Colossians to walk worthy. Lord, help us to be watchful here tonight. Help us to be wise. Help us to be discerning. And most of all, help us to continue to be enthusiastic about this mission you've planted in front of us. We ask your blessings on our time here tonight, and bless those that couldn't make it on this call. Help them as they continue working also towards that goal of service to you. We ask all these things in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick, can we have a quick rundown of everybody on the line? Maybe let's go through them from the top. John, why don't we have you start and introduce yourself to those who don't know you, and let's have some brief introductions.
John Herring, I'm the acting point man for Southern California. I'm also the regional team lead for the Western United States, and also a volunteer.
My name is Joshua Sanders. I am the self-appointed Roundtable Wrangler. No official title because I personally don't need one because I am the loudest person you'll probably ever meet. So I am also Troop Master of Troop 1199 in Camarillo, California. Next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony Gaynard. I am the Troop Master Advisor for the Navigators and Adventurers in the Montrose La Crescenta area.
Hi, this is Patrick Gardner. I'm the Troop Master for Troop 3304 in Santa Paula.
My name is Jim Martin. I'm Troop Master for 7401 in the Aliso Viejo, Dana Point area. I'm also a District Service Advisor for the area down here in Southern California.
Yes, Mark Shibata, Committee Chair and Trail Guide for the Navigators for CA 4673, Hermosa Beach.
Thank you.
I'm Ryan Hammer, Charter Organizational Rep of CA 0110 in the Montrose, La Crescenta area. My wife is on here also. She's we're rounding out half of the board, but Corps Chaplain, and she's Committee Chair and Secretary, and also serve as Ranger for the Woodland Trails.
Good evening, everyone. Russ Rang. I am a Patrol Advisor for Troop 1199.
Thank you, Russ. Did we hear from, I see Greg and Kristen, you guys on? Can you guys give us your introductions?
Yeah, Greg McCullough and Kristen McCullough. We're from the San Diego Troop. I assist in the Navigator Adventurer, and Kristen is generally supportive parent.
Okay. I think that was everybody. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. Well, welcome everyone.
Josh,
Appreciate
my
you.
client,
Yeah, go ahead.
my client's on the phone. So I'm the Troop Master for Troop 611 in Riverside, California.
Hey, Mike. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad I could finally make one of these.
Okay, so everybody, welcome. Let's do a quick introduction of your area staff. John introduced himself, acting point man. There's his email address for you in case you guys want it. We have a couple vacant positions. We'll be going over these later in the meeting, but we do have a direct support advisor is Jim Martin, who introduced himself. Mike Hickenbotham, who I do not believe is on the call tonight. He will actually be leading the training the next month, handling Woodland Trails. He's our direct support advisor for Channel Islands. And then, of course, Mike, who introduced himself, is in the Inland Empire. We do have a utility infielder.
Again, apologies, by the way. I may not know that I had thrown his name in there as direct support advisor, but this is like a big hint, Mike.
You know, John, everybody keeps hinting all the way up and down the chain of command, and I'm beginning to feel like Mario Cuomo back in the 80s. You know, I just am unrequiting in the response, and I apologize for that.
We love you anyway, Mike.
I appreciate that.
And Mike, I just put together the slideshow, man. I just do what I'm told, and you know, somebody tells me to put a name in, and I did it. So be gentle with me. So moving on, utility infielder Jerome Kwasik. I think I'm butchering that last name. So if anybody knows Jerome and knows the proper pronunciation, all I know him is by Jerry or Jerome. So and then of course I'm a Roundtable Wrangler, and I gave myself a new title this month. I'm the Sardonic Crackpot. And there's my contact information above. I'm pretty much always on social media. If anybody has any questions, I'm always available, as well as the rest of these gentlemen on this sheet. So please, we're here to help. We're your support staff past your troop master, and then this is the next chain of command for support. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, you know, that's what we're here for. This is what we're volunteering for. So please use us. Okay, moving on. Announcements. Nobody sings the song. That's one of the rules at Roundtable, unless anybody wants to. Any volunteers? Nobody. Okay. Quickly, this is we got some training resources that are available. John, did you want to go through these? These were, I think, existing from last month.
Yeah, we hit these pretty hard last month, and so you're certainly welcome to do them. The first thing, if you don't know about the online library in Troop Track, you need to go and make use of that. There's a lot of this information in Troop Track in terms of the library, but the real big change is instead of videos, the training videos in Trail Life University. That's on traillifeconnect.com. You can see information there about how to get to those. Scroll down here a little bit more. There is what we call basic training or base camp training. It's available. We can do it electronically, or your DSA can do it for you. The idea is this is a 1 to 4 hour really introduction to trail life, especially for a brand new troop. If you got a brand new troop, request a base camp training, and we'll get somebody out there to talk to you. Next slide. And equip training. We have not had an equip training down in Southern California for a while, but we need to go ahead and get that on the calendar this year. We're certainly working on a couple up in Northern California. We got one that'll be taking place here next weekend over in Phoenix, Arizona. So this is really designed to be basic training for direct contact leaders especially. This is not like Wood Badge. This is not advanced training. This is their basic training. So you know, our biggest challenge is not having enough equipped trainers, and so we're working on that as well. But keep your eyes open for an equipped training coming to the Southland here soon.
And just to follow up on that, I attended equip training last year that Mike put on. It's a fabulous weekend. So if the opportunity does present itself, definitely jump on it because it's a highly valuable training, and it'll definitely put a couple more tools in your toolbox that you could use with the boys. So. Okay, roundtable. This is mine. This is a reoccurring meeting that we will be having each month. We have a rotating training schedule so that we can accommodate all leaders. Last month we had committee members. This month is navigators and adventurers, and then next month is going to be woodland trail leaders. And then following that May, we'll focus on committee members. So the idea with this roundtable is that we don't just want to have 1, 2, 3 people on the call. The idea is to get all your all your leaders for all your troop in there, so that we've got not just 13 attendees, we've got just about every next month we'd have just about every woodland trail leader on there. So especially for you troop masters or committee chairs, when it comes to the committee member training, you want to definitely be promoting this in your troop and getting the people in here, so that not only can we be doing the the info dump at the very beginning, but we can then at the tail end we can have these a true roundtable environment where people are asking questions and learning from each other and benefiting each other. So remember to promote inside your troop. So second Tuesday every month at 8:30 p.m. Okay, John, you want to take this one?
Actually, I would rather Mike Wyatt take this one. Mike, we're going to throw you into the bus here real fast and let you talk about the Trail Ready Leadership Conference. Mike, can you hear us?
You threw him under the bus, and he lost the connection.
He may have dropped. Okay, so I'll talk about this real quickly. So, Trail Ready Leadership Conference coming up. There's a series of these taking place around the country in just about all the corners of the country. The one in Southern California is taking place coming up starting Friday evening, May 12th, running through Sunday morning, May 14th. You can actually blast out. Most of the content is really done on Saturday night. So, in Riverside, actually taking place at Mike Wyatt's church, Magnolia Church. They're just not too far off in the Riverside area. Scroll down, I think, a couple more bullets here. The cost, $34. Early bird registration ends on the 13th of April, and after that it's $49. And this is a chance for you to hear from some of the folks, the national leaders, but also a chance to network and talk to your other local leaders, other troop masters and other committee chairs and other CORs, and really hear best practices. I don't want to kind of downplay the national presentations. Those are good, those are useful, but I think probably the best benefit for you is a chance to actually hear what works for other troops, and that's going to be probably the real winner there. So next slide. There's lots of topics going to be taking place, topical tracks. There's a track for direct contact leaders. There's a track for the people that basically work the behind the scenes stuff. And there's also a track if you want to be an area team person. And so there will be some discussions with people about doing area team. There is no youth activity. This is not for youth. This is for adult leaders. And so we get a chance to come on out. So. Okay. Let's
John,
talk.
if I could add one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
And thank you for doing that. I'm sorry, I had someone here in my office I was talking to about work. We're kind of working late here a little bit, but I also want to let everybody know, if that wasn't enough of a tantalizing invitation to come, the national staff is trying to put together a special presentation for this event to walk us through the new process for what our version of Troop Track for Trail Life will be. They've told me it'll be approved and ready and running by then, so they're confident that they will be able to do that at this at this last Trail Ready conference. But we will have the first opportunity to see it and be briefed on it and see what the new Trail Life USA version of Troop Track will be.
That's good. I was going to basically tell you guys it's cooking. I don't know that I think it's going to be ready for next month. I know what the Home Office staff is saying. I know what I'm seeing and hearing. So
they got 2 months until May.
I understand. I've just worked a lot of software projects, and things never go quite as fast as you think they're going to. So.
It never does. I'm just telling you what they told me.
Yeah. So one of the things I want to share with you guys is some big changes coming up. You guys have been hearing, changes taking place in Woodlands Trails, basically Woodlands Trail 2.0 coming out into this year. And I had a chance to hear from the team that basically did this. there was a lot of dissatisfaction over the last couple of years. You know, if you think about it, we launched into Trail Life 3 years ago. We had a few pilot troops. A lot of things were learned over the last 3 years. A lot of satisfaction with the Navigators and Adventurers program, and not so much with Woodlands Trails. A lot of reasons for that. Some of them were that you know, it was some of the complaints that was heard were it's a little too Sunday schoolish. Other complaints were, you know, while there's, you know, lots of content in the basic lesson plans, the recognition system that was related to that was kind of funky and tough to track, and particularly tracking these leaves and the leaf cards. The leaf cards were just, you know, a major non-hit. And so there's a lot of things that happened there, but one of the biggest complaints were there was really no connection with the Woodlands Trails program with the Navigators and Adventurers. And so we get young men that were basically graduating up into Navigators, and they had no idea how to make the Trail Badge program work because they had no experience. None of the things they had done as Woodlands Trails really connected. So there was a team put together. They worked on this, I don't know, about the last 6 months, basically trying to take lots of different ideas and lots of different concepts and figure out what's the right approach to this. And they came up with Woodlands Trail 2.0. Now, Woodlands Trail 2.0 keeps some of the things that are currently as part of the Woodlands Trail program, one of which is Woodlands Trails remains, recognitions are still earned basically based on experience. They're not skill badges, they're experience badges. The idea being is we really want to encourage these young men to come to the meetings so that then they can actually, you know, participate in those in the spiritual discipline portions of the meeting, basically the, you know, the faith portion of the 6 F's, and really, you know, get that mentorship going. And so that's the driver behind doing the recognitions. It's not designed to be a how many badges and how many things can you bust out and can you get all 7 branches in a week, because that doesn't help the young men accomplish that mentorship. So they're going to retain the branch concept, the 7 branches, but the idea of the leaves will disappear. And instead, for each branch, you'll have anywhere from 7 to 10 learning objectives. The idea will be that you'll actually work on a branch each month. And if you think about it, you got 7 branches. Most troops, basically, you're only meeting on the order of 7 to 8 to 9 months a year. And so some of these branches will actually take a little bit more than a month. But the idea is in the first year of the program, you'll work your way through the branches, and the learning objectives they're working on are actually tied to trail badges. If you want to think about them, they're like junior trail badges now, okay? And then year 2 of that unit, they will base, or that patrol, that level, what they'll do is they'll work on the Sylvan Stars for that branch. If a young man didn't participate in that first year of the program, then they're going to basically they'll get their branch and they'll get their forest badge out of the deal. So they're still not missing out on the entire program. And then when they move up to the next unit, they'll still work on the same branches. They might be slightly different trail badges, but the exposure and the learning experiences they're going to get are going to be a little bit more intense and a little bit harder. And then basically, you know, they can move to Woodlands Trails, same thing. So. And so that's the basic changes taking place in Woodlands Trails. It'll still be, again, not hugely different in terms of the recognitions, and the program, basically the lesson plans, the proposed meeting plans, those will still be out there. They'll be realigned to this new system. So that's a lot of what's going on right now. There are some studies going on regarding Navigators and Adventurers, but frankly, there's not a lot of changes envisioned. You know, the feedback that people have gotten, the home offices have gotten, and folks like me and the point men have gotten is that the Navigators and Adventurers program is actually working pretty well. So we're doing all right there. So questions about the program update? I don't have a date when this is going to roll out. Sometime this fall is basically the goal. Oh, yeah, there's one more thing. The other thing that's happening is there's a lot of popular demand from parents for a handbook. And yes. So there's going to be a handbook for each one of these levels. Now the handbook is going to be different. The handbook is going to be a little different than what you think. It's not going to be an advancement related handbook. It's going to be a handbook that is going to talk about the skills. It's going to talk a little bit about these experiences. There will be some stories, faith stories basically built into each one of these handbooks. And so there will be a handbook for each level, Fox, Hawk, Mountain Lion. Because of the agreement that Trail Life signed with American Heritage Girls when we first started this. The handbook will be a for sale item. It will be something you have to purchase. People don't know this, but when we first signed in, we have first put in this partnership with American Heritage Girls. American Heritage Girls' finances are very heavily reliant on their selling their books, their materials. And they didn't want that model to be gutted by us giving the materials away, and then of course then people would basically point at them saying, how come you can't do it like Trail Life? So those handbooks will be given, will be sold to the boys. Hopefully they will be affordable. Price tag, something down to $1 or I'd like to see them be like $5 each. $5 for 2 years is not too bad. And they could potentially even be reused and passed on from year to year. The other thing is the handbook is going to have sections in there for the parents. Some portions of the learning objectives for each branch will be done with the parents. They'll be actually homework, if you want to call it that. But most of the learning objectives will not be able to be signed off by the parents. They must be signed off as doing these experiences as part of the meetings.
So John, will there be sign-offs then in the book or not?
No. Basically the sign-offs are, again, the parents and the young man will basically come back and talk to their troop leader, talk to their level leader, the trail guides, and basically tell them we completed this experience. Okay. At least that's I understand. It's not going to be, again, a Cub Scout advancement book. It's really not. We're really trying not to go down that road.
So it most likely can be passed on if there's nothing being written down in it, or, I mean...
Well, I would like to think that. So the other prospect that's being discussed is basically making it a downloadable Kindle book. So that's an interesting prospect, because the cost of actually setup for printing is usually the thing that's the most expensive. When we did the first set of handbooks, we had to have a run of 5,000, and there was no money in the bank, and so Trail Life passed the hat to guys like me, and we threw $100, $200 in the pocket, so we could then put together the money to run that first set of print. So.
Okay. Any other questions, guys, on the program update?
Yeah, I got a quick question.
Okay, one at a time, guys. Ryan,
Who
how
are
about
you?
you?
Where are you at?
Okay, I heard somebody say Ryan. I'll go ahead. I like the idea of the book. Thank you for addressing that. That was going to be my first question. Second question then is, you mentioned that the the branches would be based on an entire month curriculum or focus. Is there an opportunity to switch things up at all? Maybe do 1 week of values and another of something. I guess what I'm getting at is yesterday we spent the whole day on values, and the boys were kind of rolling. Their eyes were rolling to the back of their heads. They wanted to burn rope or something.
Yeah. As before, the program basically is up to the local unit to decide. The program basically picks and chooses how they want to implement the program. Trade basically decides that. So if you decide that doing we're doing an entire month of faith value thing is lame, and we don't really want to do that. We want to do a little bit each week. That's entirely up to you.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you.
Okay, my question is how is this going to interface with the boys that are in their second year, especially my mountain lions? How is it going to interface? How are we going to blend the two together? Has that been thought about?
I don't know the answer to that, to be honest, Tom. My guess is, at least what I've heard, is there would be a transition. But, at some point you'll have to make the switch over, and I think it'll actually be up. I think the goal was to actually have things up and running by September.
Actually, I'm hearing July, John. Some of the noise I'm hearing on the Facebook forum in July.
Yeah, well, I got my number from one of the members of the committee. So, so I regard my date as probably it's probably a pretty solid one. But they got to finish their materials. Their materials are not done yet. They still have to go through it and get approved by the board. They haven't actually achieved that yet, so they got lots of things still to do.
Yeah, we kind of went through this change with the Timberline Award. Was it last year, I believe?
Yeah.
So it makes it kind of tough, because I finally got the leaders on the same page where they're keeping track of the leaves and where they're understanding that when they're missing certain sections to go back and pick them up so that they can complete, you know, all the leaves in the required branch. And that's been quite a arduous task. But now to throw a whole nother wrench in the game again, it's going to be tough to try to figure out where we're at again. It was tough with just with the Timberline Award, trying to get, because I had some boys that were almost there, and do you do version 1 or 1.2 or what? So
Yeah,
it's going to take some time to implement.
I know there is a transition plan. You know, the big thing to remind people about is, and I have a discussion pretty regular with people, is a lot of parents, and especially parents came out of Cub Scouts, are really awards focused. And they really get their, you know, get themselves wrapped around the axle on the awards. And the thing to remind them is awards are not the most important thing in trail life, which is why we call them recognitions. You know, the discipleship evangelism portions are the most important thing. And the recognitions are a nice way of enticing the boys to come and participate in that evangelism discipleship program.
All right, thank you. Sorry for taking so much time.
That's okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
Anything else on the program update? All right, next slide.
If you're not sure, send me an email and I can answer, or I'll put a question up on the Facebook page and we'll try to answer it there.
Yep. Okay, summer adventures are coming up. The first one we want to highlight real quick is the Camp Glorieta in New Mexico. There you see the dates there, June 18th to June 24th. $296 for registration, which includes the food, and there's a bunch of stuff: whitewater rafting, zip lining, hiking. Has anybody on the call been to Camp Glorieta in previous years? Okay. Anyway, our troop had planned on going. However, we changed plans, and we're actually going to possibly be participating in the next one. But this one here is got a pretty decent rep. I'm hearing some really exciting and fun things coming out of this adventure. So the next one we want to highlight is this one. John, why don't you go ahead and do the sales job on this one?
Yeah, so this is the Mountain Trailman Rendezvous. We've had a Northwest Rendezvous for the last couple of years up in Washington, Oregon, and this year we decided to throw it out to the entire West Coast. It's actually taking place over 4 days, July 30th to August 2nd, up near Yakima, Washington. So it's a ways away from California. Sorry, but you know it's where the volunteers that are working to live. So who's coming? Basically, we have troops coming from Oregon, Washington, Idaho, California, Montana. We may have somebody coming down from Alaska. The big thing we've pushed is this is an event for your entire troop. This is an all-trailman activity, which means you can bring your foxes and hawks. They have to come with a parent or guardian, but they're allowed to come too, and there will be stuff for them to do as well. There is a lot of activities taking place. You can see a list, that's a partial list of some of the stuff that's going to be taking place. And the cost, $65 for trailmen, $45 for the adults. Now the troops provide their own food, and this is tent camping. This is not cabin camping or RV camping. There's also some very special activities, particularly for the adventurers, so they have some things they're going to get to do that the other guys are not going to get to do, like go stand-up paddleboarding. So that's available. That's a little bit additional cost. So it's not a trail badge camp, by the way. That's something else to note. This is not a trail badge camp. This is an experience camp. The guys get to come out and they're going to get to challenge themselves as patrols doing all these activities you see there. And while they're doing that, they may actually check off some of the things that they may need for trail badges. But this is really a chance just to come out and do some really hard and cool and fun things. So, questions?
Okay.
Okay.
Last one I want to highlight is one that just popped on my radar a couple days ago. But we have a possible 2017 SoCal adventure that is forming up. Mike, I don't know if you're still on the line or not, but Mike and Teresa at Troop, what's their number? The San Diego Troop, 710.
San Diego.
Yeah, the San Diego Troop. We're talking after, I guess, the last Warrior Games, and we're looking at a possible local adventure for us at Camp Pendleton. There's a lake there. We can do the paintball. There's a bunch of beach activities, as well as a service project for Wounded Warriors, as well as a whole bunch of others. I mean, this is in the very, very early stages at this point. So what we're looking for right now is someone active duty or retired military who can be our sponsor to make the reservations for us. And then this person would have to not only make the reservations, but we would also be required to check us all in, during the event. Once we can get that, I think the other pieces would start to fall into place. But we're looking to see if anybody's actually interested in doing this. Send us an email there at the SoCal area email account, and I'll go ahead and tabulate it all and get it to the proper people. But if you're interested in this and your troop is interested in this, let us know. And no offense to you, John, I would love to do the Mountain Man, but I also wouldn't want to take a 14-hour, 18-hour drive up to Washington if I can avoid it with a bunch of teenagers. So, if this is something that you think your troop is wanting to do, send us an email and let us know so that we can start the process. But again, we are looking for active duty or retired military who can be our sponsor at Camp Pendleton and get us on. And then the idea is there's a campsite right around Lake. I don't remember the name of the lake, but there's a lake on base where they've got a bunch of activities that we can do stuff around. So,
Josh,
quick question.
I've already brought this up to my troop, and we have some interest already. Just being tentative, I've had a couple inquiries already. I brought it up at the meeting the last couple of weeks because I did talk to Teresa about it at the end of paintball, and I knew it was coming. I knew she was planning something. So I was trying to get some feedback on whether people would attend or not, and it looks like I've got, I don't know, a fair amount of people that want to try to do it. So.
Okay, well, that's the first troop, and I'm sure our troop would be interested as well. So, did I hear somebody else jump on the line as well?
Yeah, Josh.
I did. I would think 110 would be interested as well, and I've actually got a cousin that's stationed there now. Do you need an officer, active duty officer, or just, he's kind of just a grunt right now, but he's on base.
Yeah, my son is a Marine on Camp Pendleton as well. I think, because I think Teresa had somebody that was associated with her AHG troop that could do the job, but I think she was looking for somebody specifically in trail life who could serve it. So, but we'll take your the name of we'll take the name of your grunt,
active duty,
my grunt, but
retired. It can be active duty, retired, reserve, or even National Guard. They simply have to have a CAC card, a DOD ID, but they really have to be with the group the whole time. So it's not just making reservations; they have to basically stay there because effectively they're the chaperone, the charter.
Right, so. which is why I think Teresa was saying let's make this somebody who's actually a member of Trail Life.
Josh, just want to pick them up, and were you try to make this as a summertime adventure?
That's the thought. Yeah, that was the proposal that I got from Teresa and Mike Wyant.
The date that Teresa had talked about, she said early to mid-July. I don't know. That was what we discussed, but that's can totally change. So.
Right.
Also be aware, California 101 did sign up for the regional roundup up in Washington. So, if you're not going to do that, I'm going to need you guys to pull that reservation so I can open it up to another troop.
Sure. Okay. I think. Let's see. Thank you, Todd Chapman. Apparently, his microphone is not working. Lake O'Neill is the lake at Camp Pendleton, so that'll be where where the campsite's at. Okay, moving on. John, this is you.
Okay, so one of the things we're trying to do is just to let you guys know, every troop should have a direct support advisor that's basically signed up, and somebody that's got experience that's out there to help them out. I kind of laid them out a little bit. You can see, by the way, where we got some troops that have we have some new interest in Bakersfield, Tehachapi, down in San Diego. As a matter of fact, La Mesa. I just got a phone call yesterday from La Mesa. So there's some interested in troops, and you see the names there next to them. This is basically your direct support advisor. Now, the lines are fuzzy, which means, you know, we're certainly not going to set up boundaries and things like that. But if you need some help, these are the folks that basically can reach out and help you out. So, you know, Jim Martin basically is our Orange County guy, and Jerry covers the, you know, southern San Diego area. And we don't have anybody officially for that area we call the beaches in the Central Valley, San Joaquin area. I've asked Mike Hickenbotham to think about being our Channel Islands and up the Central Coast sort of guy, and Mike Wyatt to handle the Inland Empire. He particularly likes the idea of basically helping to get a troop set up there in Las Vegas, I heard. But anyway, sorry, Mike. I owe you a trailman handshake for that. Anyway, the point being is this is kind of what we're trying to do. So you can start connecting up local troops, and you guys can now start sharing data, because one of the biggest things that helps a troop is having a nearby troop that can pull the load with them, or can provide them advice. So that's the goal of having a DSA, of having these sub areas, or if you want to use the old BSA term, districts. That's one of the things we're trying to get going. So.
Okay. All right. So why don't you address the vacancies in these holes, John?
Yeah, we still need some direct support advisors. You don't need to be perfect. You know, we prefer you're not a troop master, but the troop be known. You know, we're going to take anybody we can get, particularly. You know, those direct support advisors are really important. Those are the coaches. Those are the troop coaches, and helps the troop basically function when they're having trouble. Can be a counselor when they have a conflict. Can provide advice when they need advisorship. So advancement chair is pretty important. The advancement chair's really major job is handling the freedom wards. Now, the freedom wards are not handled by the troop. Matter of fact, one of these roundtables we need to talk about freedom ward, but it's not handled by the troop. It's handled by the area team. Right now, that's being handled by myself plus the DSAs. We'd really like to get an advancement chair that basically now starts to monitor that and take care of that. So we also need to get a training chair, and I would love to get an area chaplain. Somebody that basically can really advance and help promote the faith options and the individual faith studies for our church. Looking for help. If you're interested in serving as a member of the area team, reach out and let us know.
Or we'll take your name now. I mean, just let us know, and no pressure.
Yeah.
Or all right. No one stepped up. So okay. I think.
Yeah, we hit this. Keep going.
Well, the next thing, the next bullet point is, I think, something we haven't really talked about.
Yeah. By the way, the area can call itself anything you want to. I mean, you got to assign the Southern California, SoCal area moniker by the Home Office, and I know it would really chagrin them, but the truth be known, you guys can call yourselves, you can basically relabel yourselves anything you want to. The guys up in Washington State aren't exactly Washington State. They also have pieces of Idaho and Montana, so they call themselves the Northwest area. The folks in Oregon cover sections of Washington as well as Western Oregon. They call themselves the Oregon Trail area. And so you guys can call yourselves anything you want to. There's a poll on Facebook, and once we kind of winnow things down, then Joshua is going to put out an official poll using SurveyMonkey, and then you guys can basically start using an area term that really describes, you know, your area. So.
And I think we already talked about that, but
yeah. Yeah, I'd really like to go down to just handling one area instead of three. So we'd really like a point man, another point man, preferably one that lives in Southern California.
Okay, Jim.
I'm done.
Jim Martin, you are live.
All right. Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Navigator program tonight. Most trail life units have a Navigator program, no matter how small or large. I myself have a very small Navigator unit. We don't have an adventure unit. I think there's a lot of troops out there who just have the Navigator units and haven't quite got into the adventure unit. So I thought I'd start off with just a real basic introduction on the Navigator and how the program is kind of set up, and then keep it simple and take questions. And it may be a little bit too simplistic for some of the units who have been around for a while and already know this stuff, so I don't want to take long in doing it, so we'll just kind of run it through real quick and you guys can fire off questions to me. So Navigator's program is 6th through 8th grade. It's run by trail master and trail guides who that's your 2 deep leadership there, who run the program and have a group of trailmen under them. Of course, they have 3 main ranks: a recruit, an able, and a ready. Recruits just basically the joining requirements. The able and ready trailmen are the upper requirements. Next slide, please. Okay, the Navigators and Adventures actually are utilize the handbook, and inside the handbook is material for all the requirements for the individual trail badges, and it's pretty much left. There's some other information in there about basic skills, but it's pretty much left up to the troop to teach the requirements for the trail badges. And then there's, of course, the highest one in the Adventures, which is the Freedom Award. Takes you all the way through the basic skills from Navigators to Adventures and to the Freedom Award, so up until they're 18. And then we transition to another program that's not quite fully developed yet, so we'll talk about that later. Next slide, please. So the basic outline for the Navigators are recruit, which is your basic joining requirements. You know, you're learning your oath and your motto and the pledge, and going through a series of maybe some pre-interviews and discussing the requirements of the troop. And then once they do that, then they start working on their able trailmen, earning after they've earned it, they complete 4 required trail badges and 3 elective badges. On the right, you see the 9 required trail badges, so they need 4 there. 15 hours of service hours. I know I saw some discussion today about service hours and what actually constitutes service hours. I think it's pretty much left up to the charter to determine how you prove service hours and such. And then troop meeting attendance and participation requirements. Usually, I think the last handbook I saw was the troop meeting attendance was it's like 60% attendance, and then they had to participate in various roles within their patrols and such. Then once they've completed all those requirements, they have a leader conference. Usually it's a short conference with one of the adult leaders. This gets the trailmen used to communicating with an adult, and the board of review, which consists of a group of adults that form the board and pretty much review the trailmen. This gives the trailmen a chance to sit in front of a group of adults and actually have to answer questions in full. They'll be in full uniform. It's rather formal. It's a little scary for them, which is good, but it helps prepare them for the future, going on to college, or entrance boards, jobs, going in for interviews on jobs. It helps them get a little bit more custom, and that's throughout the program that they'll be going through that through each rank in both Navigators and Adventurers. As you can see, once they pass that border review, everything's signed off, then they go up to Ready Trailmen and start the process again, completing the remaining 9 required trail badges, another 5 elected badges, again another 15 hours of service. Same basic requirements for attendance and participation. Then in the Ready Trailmen hold a troop leadership position for at least 6 months. I think when we talk about patrols, you'll see where that leadership position comes in. And when you divide your trailmen and the Navigators and Adventurers into patrols, you can set up leadership positions for them within the patrols, either patrol leader or patrol leader. There's a faith-building activity option. There's a number of programs that we have available to satisfy that requirement. And again, the Leader Conference and Border Review.
Hey, Jim, I had a question with regards to the Board of Reviews. I know Trail Life is pretty lenient in terms of letting the troop, kind of run their own show. And is there any actual requirement that the Board of Review has to be done by registered Trail Life members, or could you just have one registered Trail Life leader is the chair, and then we're pulling in interested adults from the church or somewhere else to kind of get some more exposure to the troop?
I believe that would be left up to the charter, but I don't see any problem bringing in people from a church to sit on the Board of Review, provided that they know that sitting on the Board of Review isn't a retesting of the trailman, that it's just a review of his experience in trail life. And again, the Board of Review again is in my opinion, the Board of Review is to benefit the trailmen and getting experience answering and communicating with a group of adults, but it's also where the troop benefits from hearing the experiences of the trailmen. What they can get a good idea of what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, areas that the trailmen feel intensely connected to, they really enjoy doing, so the troop can continue with those processes and maybe look at those that they get a feel that aren't being as successful, that they can rethink how they can make those better. So
yeah, if I can chime in, Jim, I think that's actually a great idea to bring in people from outside, bring in people from the church. The cautionary note is, remember that people you bring in that are not registered Trail Life leaders, even if they're parents, do not fulfill 2-deep leadership. At least 2 of the people in that room have to be registered leaders.
Well, no, John, it's 2-deep leadership if I've got another leader in another room. It's no one-on-one contact.
Okay,
two different concepts.
No one-on-one contact, which means I still have to have 2. I still have to have 2 adult leaders in that room. I cannot have a non-registered person. Doesn't count for that.
I can't have 1 registered leader and 3 non-registered leaders.
No.
And then I have registered leaders.
Well, nope. They are just non-registered leaders or nice observers, but they do not check off the block for any youth protection requirements in Trail Life. The only people that count, I'm dealing with that right now, where we've had a request for somebody to bring their brother along to try to fulfill 2-deep leadership, and the answer is no, you can't do that.
But it's not 2-deep leadership. It's not the question, because if I have another registered leader in another room,
still no one-on-one, and the non-registered people do not count in terms of providing that second person.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I know it's a really confusing thing. It's a much more stringent requirement than you might have had in the BSA, but you know, unfortunately, it's the lessons of problems that BSA has had. So.
Well, it's just I'm hearing different things from other area and regional team leaders on the Facebook page. So, I mean, if you could forward this on to Trail Life National and say, hey, we really need to get this settled, because I'm getting different information about this. It's two concepts, no one-on-one and 2D.
Very settled. It's very settled. There's a whole document all about it. It's inside the Guide to Safety and Health. But yeah, let's plan. Maybe next month we'll do a little special segment on that. How's that sound?
As long as it's consistent with what we're hearing from the different sources, absolutely sounds like a good plan.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry to interrupt, Jim. Go ahead.
Okay, let's go next slide.
Yep.
Okay, so in Navigator and Adventures, we use what we call the patrol method. The patrol method consists of somewhere between 5 and 8 trailmen, with one of them being elected as this chart indicates, junior patrol leader. That junior patrol leader is a leadership position, which satisfies those leadership requirements. That junior patrol leader is kind of like the committee chair. Think of him kind of as the committee chair. So when the trailmen meet in their patrols and go over or review, say they're planning a camp out or an outing, then the junior patrol leader is the one that oversees the meeting and keep everybody on track. You can have as many patrols in a troop as you need, but keep in mind that they should be limited to somewhere between 5 and 8. So as your troop grows, you just start having more and more patrols, and then each patrol can develop into their own specific unit with camaraderie and their own, because they'll be camping and doing stuff together as a unit too. So that's real quick. It's more in depth. Patrols are a big area, and probably in our next meeting I can go further into the patrol method. I'm just introducing it here because it's a vital part of this program. It also extends into the Navigator or Adventure portion of the program, which is for the older trailmen, and is run pretty much the same with the exception of the officers and the leadership positions in the upper part of the Adventure program. And then, so next time, maybe we can get into a little bit more of the adventures. I don't know how this group tonight is set up for adventure programs. I don't know which troops actually have fully active adventure groups. I'm sure there's large ones.
I have 2 adventurers that we've actually mixed in because they don't have enough. We don't have enough adventurers to form our own patrol, so we've mixed our adventurers with our navigators, and we've got a mixed group of boys.
Yeah. See, I only have 4 navigators, so I don't have adventurers. But we've done pretty much the same thing. We'll combine our navigators and adventurers until we get to the point where we can actually break out into separate patrols and separate navigator and adventure units. The big thing for us, being a brand new troop, only been around for less than a year, really active. Big part of it for us is the adventurers. They need to learn the same skills as the navigators do, all their outdoor skills anyway. So it works pretty good combining them because they're all learning the basic outdoor skills together. So in that respect, it works good if you have a small troop. Combine them into one patrol and take off from there. And
that's what we're doing as well.
Yes.
We're also combining our navigators and our adventurers. We just have 2 adventurers at this point.
Yeah. I think that's quite common. As your troop matures, get your woodlands starting to get older and move through the program, you'll start to see hopefully a shift between and a leveling of the Navigator and Adventurers program. At some point, we would hope that that you would have both the Navigators and Adventurers, but it may take time for a troop to mature and grow to that point from their woodlands up through the Navigator and Adventurers. Your woodlands are your feeding of the Navigator and Adventurers, so hopefully it'll be a transition that will come about as troops mature. Unless, of course, you're a BSA troop that had it all structured out already before you became a trail life troop. So
I'm seeing a comment from Teresa that they do the same. They combine it together. The one thing that I have noticed that I did pull from the Health and Safety Guide for Youth Protection is if you do have a mixed patrol with navigators and adventurers, they do have to tent separately. So you can't have in the same tent a navigator and adventurer together.
Okay, so what do you do if you only have 1 or 2? What if you only have 2 adventurers then?
Then they get their own tent.
I mean,
yeah,
they get to tent together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if
you have 1 adventurer, then you get the one adventurer gets to tent by himself, unless his parent is there, in which case then he could tent with Dad.
Yeah.
But then nobody else is in that tent with him and Dad, so
yeah,
it's a challenge. But
okay,
hey, one thing I was also going to point out that and a lot of troops are like yours, Jim. They only got 1 or 2 or 3 adventurers, and so these guys are going to end up still doing a lot of leadership, and they're going to do a lot of the mentoring for the navs. It's still important to give those guys the occasional activity that they as adventurers get to go do by themselves without having the navs along with them. That's the way to keep them in the program, so they perceive and they recognize, and they're recognized as being, they've got some special privileges they earned by being adventurers. So that's part of the attraction of wanting, these guys wanting to stick with the program, is there's certain things that are held out for the adventurers to do that are not available to navigators or woodlands trails. So.
Yeah, and it's also the challenge to come up with adventures for the adventurers that you still have your leadership requirements, your safety leadership requirements when you only have 1 or 2 adventurers. So.
Right, but one thing that you can do is you could share leaders with other troops. If there's a troop or your troop is light on leaders for your adventures, start talking to the other troops in the area. Not only will you be building relationships with brothers and sisters in Christ, but you can definitely plan some adventures together. I think the adventurers outings are supposed to be like once a quarter, but I mean you can certainly share some leaders and go on a joint camp out with the adventurers and multiple troops.
Sure, I agree.
All right, you want the next slide, Jim?
Sure.
All right.
Okay, the standard is the way we present the level awards and rank advancement. This is a part of the uniform. It is an earned award that they earn once they complete their able. Then they can attach their little medallions to their standard, and that standard becomes part of the official uniform, presented at all formal functions, courts of honors, boards of reviews, and such. So it's a visual way to represent their advancement through the program. And it comes from a history long of using and presenting the standard through biblical times and modern times. I think that's about it. Oh, leadership. I put these together, this slide together for a presentation to my troop when I was first organizing the troop, helping them trying to understand the troop organization and the various areas that we need to fill for leadership, adult leadership, the trail master and the trail guides for the navigators. And next slide shows kind of a little flow chart I made of where my position is and the two areas that I needed to fill leadership positions with. And then, of course, if we were to grow bigger, we would add additional navigator patrols with trail guides and have trail masters oversee the various patrols along with me. So there's plenty of leadership there. Okay, next.
I think that's it. At this point, that was all the slides you gave me. So let's quickly, I guess we go into just a general or Q&A or a specific Q&A about what Jim discussed with regards to the Navigator program, and then we'll finish up with a staff minute and a closing prayer. So does anybody have any questions?
I don't necessarily have a question about the Navigator program, but I would like to hear a comment on at the meetings, the what is it called? The I'm drawing a blank. Give me 1 second. I'll get there. No, the Wisdom of the Wild section. That's right. Wisdom of the Wild. Can somebody just give me like a brief something on that? I'm kind of struggling with that.
I'm actually going to be providing a Wisdom of the Wild or a staff minute at the end of the Q&A. So if you stick around, I'll provide one for you. But ultimately, it's you know, and Wisdom of the Wild, you know, in the BSA it used to be called, you know, Scoutmaster Minute or Cubmaster Minute if you were in Cub Scouts, and the absolutely key factor is keep it to a minute. We have some of these people that can talk you under the table, and the boys, you know, have a attention span that will not tolerate you know, a 10-minute dialogue that you're going to have with them. So keep it brief, keep it short. You've got, you know, years and years, hopefully, with these boys that you're going to be imparting wisdom to them, and you're going to give them to them in small, tiny little nuggets rather than you know, one gigantic lecture during one troop meeting. Did that answer your question?
Joshua?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, because we were having trouble earlier. Hey, I don't remember if I saw this on a Facebook page or somebody had said it in this meeting, but the combining of area troops to do outings for adventurers, given the fact that most of us only have like 2 or 3 adventurers in our program.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for that to happen, because I know we have 2 adventurers and we just got an email today that a 3rd one is joining. I'd love to get those 3 guys, our high schoolers, out with a bunch of other high schoolers in the area to do an outing. So I'm just putting it out there. If anyone's got a outing plan for their adventures and they have room, I've got 3.
Okay, that's a great idea.
So in my area last year, we did that with our adventurers, because most of the troops have 2 or 3 or 4, and we actually went off and we took them out and did pistol shooting. We took them through the NRA First Steps pistol. We had an NRA instructor out there, a range master. One of the local ranges donated the time, and so all the adventurers went out and shot pistols. And that was, you know, you should have seen the oohs and ahs, and how cool is that on the part of the navigators. So, I mean, Want to get to shoot pistols? You got to be an adventurer. Now things have slightly changed with the shooting sports program, but you know, that's the sort of thing you can do when you bring a couple troops together. Now you can pool resources.
Because navigators can do pistol. I just had a mom telling me today she wanted her son to do pistol, and he's a navigator, and I had to look that up.
It is allowed, but it's up to the instructor. Now I'm an NRA pistol instructor. I won't take a navigator out and shoot with them. That's my NRA position, because a 12 or 13-year-old is not mature enough to maintain muzzle control on the range. That's just my opinion as an instructor. So, but that's also my option as an instructor. That's what I choose. It is entirely up to you. In my church, my charter organization will not approve navigator age kids out on the range. So it's up. You have to talk to your chartering organization and explain the position. But my personal position for trail life is, I think there are some activities that really should be reserved for the adventurers. In the same way, there's some activities the navigators can do that the Woodlands Trails guys should not be doing. Otherwise, what's there to look forward to?
Yeah, it really needs to be a progressive program.
Yep. And I lost that battle with the shooting sports program guys, but I'm sticking to my guns on the climbing program. So.
Yeah, that really killed our program. That climbing thing. We're a BSA. We've been climbing since as soon as the boys were old enough to become scouts, Boy Scouts. We've had them climbing, and we have our climbers now, and that just killed our program.
Yeah.
Because
well, I'm saying,
all of our navigators that have been climbing for 3 or 4 years now, they can't climb anymore.
Well, they will when they get to be adventurers. But, you know, the challenge really boils down to, we had a long discussion. We talked to a lot of different groups when we were writing that section. American Alpine Club and Outward Bounds and Knowles and the whole 9 yards. And this is what they recommended was the age limits as to what people could do. The insurance company said no free climbing, and absolutely everything has to be top roped. That was the insurance company that said that.
Well, that's what we do. That's all we do is top rope, and we don't do anything that's real crazy either.
So are navigators allowed to top rope?
No.
Oh.
Navigators can indoor climb. They can't outdoor free rock, or basically outdoor natural rock climbing is a reserved activity for adventurers.
Yeah,
and
that's
again,
what
that one fell down to the idea of there's some activities we want to basically hold out for the adventurers to get to do. So.
Yeah, but when you only have one adventure, it doesn't work well for your troop.
Well, remember, we're writing a program for the long term. We weren't writing it for the first couple of years. So, and I get it. You know, I've had a lot of the discussions. But, you know, we finally had to say we had to make a line somewhere, and so that was a natural dividing line. You know, Knowles and Outward Bound were basically saying 16 should be the limit. We basically actually dropped below that point. So.
And who knows? Things might change. Things might change. Moving on, you know, and next year the health and safety might be totally different. So, last opportunity for questions. Anybody got any questions or? No. Okay. Let me just. I honestly, I don't remember if I shared this with everybody last week, but it's a poem that I shared at the Equip training last year. And I think it shows really nicely why we do what we do. It's called The Bridge Builder by Will Allen Dromgoole, and it goes as follows. An old man going a lone highway came at the evening cold and gray to a chasm vast and deep and wide through which was flowing a sullen tide. The old man crossed in the twilight dim. The sullen stream had no fear for him, but he turned when safe on the other side and built a bridge to span the tide. Old man, said a fellow pilgrim near, you're wasting your strength with building here. Your journey will end with the ending day. You never again will pass this way. You've crossed the chasm deep and wide. Why build this bridge at evening tide? The builder lifted his old gray head. Good friend, in the path I have come, he said. There followed after me today a youth whose feet must pass this way. This chasm that has been as naught to me, to that fair-haired youth may a pitfall be. He too must cross in the twilight dim. Good friend, I am building this bridge for him. Looking forward to continuing to build bridges with not only all of you, but helping you to build bridges with the boys that God has entrusted to you. Can we have a volunteer to end our meeting in prayer? John?
I can do that.
This is Mike Higginbotham. I'd be happy to.
Thank you, Michael.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for all those that are here. We thank you, Father, for the motivation and the strength and the resources to be able to do this. We thank you most especially, Father, for your presence and for your guidance. We asked for it at the beginning of this, and we thank you that you have been as faithful as you always are in providing it. We ask that you go with us tonight, help these things grow within us, help us to utilize them in helping the young men that you've placed in our trust, but most especially help us to use these things in a way to further glorify you and to glory. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Good night, everyone. Look for this. This will be recorded and presented on the SoCal website YouTube page. Make sure you forward it on to your troop leaders that were not here, and we'll see you all next month. Good night.
Take care.
Thank you.